Hi, my name is Matusiak, and this is my second video based on the Bandolier Bag and the Lipstick Ascending out of Caterpillar Tracks. Hope you enjoy. This is the Bandolier Bag, made in 1850 of beadwork on leather. Although it doesn't have a known artist, it does belong to the Delaware tribe in eastern Woodland. The content of this bag is very straightforward. There are thousands of beads strung together across the bag's surface, which shows of technical skill. It is based on bags carried by European soldiers that held ammunition for rifles. It shows contrasting colors, which could represent the sky and underworld realms. The design could also represent the cardinal directions, as they go in 4 different ways. The significance of this? Well, it's created out of trade cloth, such as cotton and wool, and hide are used as the base and the straps for the bags. Seed beads, or tiny glass beads, are acquired from trading with the Europeans. The silk ribbons are also used for the decoration, which was bought from trading as well. It expanded the surface of the bag in a very interesting way. Trading with the Europeans allowed for new materials to be added as decoration to the bags. The function of this bag was to be worn as a cross-body bag. A strap crosses the chest and allows the bag to rest on the hip. It was created because bags were commonly decorated. Even those with pockets were not necessarily used to hold anything. Men could wear more than one bag at a time, which could express their group identities and social status. Especially in the face of the displacement, it could represent the determination and perseverance of Lenape people and Lenape culture. So what is the context? Well, these bags were called Echunenjuan in Ojibwe language. Made across tribes in Great Lakes and prairie regions were where they were made. Women mainly created the bags, while men mostly wore them. Bandolier bags were still worn today, in order to preserve their culture, but they were removed from the ancestral lands in the Indian Removal Act during Jackson's presidency, but kept their traditions in creating art. Religion was animistic. The spirits, whether they were helpful or harmful, were everywhere and should have been treated with respect. Since multiple of these bags were made, there was no one patron, so whoever paid for it got it. And the people who made it belonged to these tribes and the First Nations across the Great Lakes and prairie regions. That's why it connects to the content. Because it was large in size, it was durable material to hold stuff that you needed to carry. Anyone could have used it, and the impact it had on fashion and status was impeccable. Also, it was made to carry more convenient in this region than any other region. It is connected to the content because it was made for people, and the trade brought in cloth to the area and made bags out of it. The material, speaking of which, is trade cloth, made of cotton and wool, and hide are used to be the base and the bags as the straps. Silk ribbons are used for decoration, which was also gained from trading. Red wool tassels on the bag are attached with metal cones to add more color and textures. Why, you ask? Well, it replaced further quill work and dyeing of the bandolier's fabric. Beads would reflect sunlight, and the ribbons would flap in the wind. It is to show that trading with the Europeans allowed new materials to be added as decorations to the bags. It was very large in scale, so it would carry more stuff, which is easy because the site could have used more trade to be able to carry back to the spaces that they lived in. What was the purpose? Well, it would have functioned for men to be wearing more than one at a time, and it would show their perseverance and determination of the Lenape people and culture. One main attribute that came into play was how the trade looked when it arrived. It would figure or hold what you would tell you because the person wearing the bag shows that the person is cultural and determined. It was idealistic, expressive, and not very abstract for the culture since they were very common. But bandolier and the bag are connected. A bandolier is red trimming around the entire cloth and tassels at the end, the floral blue, black, green, and pink pattern on the cloth, as well as the ends of the bandolier have trapezoidal extensions which end in green, red, tan, and blue tassels. The bandolier is a long rectangle which reach below the waist, but likely not to the knees. One side of the bandolier is decorated while the other side is brown. The bag, on the other hand, came from the same color story as the bandolier. It shares the pink, blue, and red. Tassels decorate the opening of the bag, but this time they're shorter and thinner than the tassels on the bandolier. The rectangular in shape is also common with the bandolier. It is asymmetrical and has a dynamic composition. The next piece I will be talking about is lipstick ascending on caterpillar tracks. It was made from 1969 to 1974. It is Corten steel, aluminum, and cast resin painted with enamel. Claes Oldenburg placed this at Yale University, New Haven, Connecticut to make his statement. Well, his statement isn't just to show a lipstick sprouting from a military vehicle. It combined the highly feminine product with the highly masculine machinery of war, and the large lipstick tube is bullet-like, making the beauty seem even more masculine and violent. This is the juxtaposition implied that the U.S. obsession with beauty and the consumption both fueled and distracted from the violence going on in Vietnam. This was his function, not only just for this piece, but all his other pieces. He said, "I am for an art that is political, erotical, and mystical, that does something other than sit on its ass in a museum. I am for an art that imitates the human, that it is comic, if necessary, or violent, or whatever is necessary." This quote makes his art seem deeply critical, and a visible space for the anti-war movement while also poking fun at the plaza. He meant for it to be a stage and background for several subsequent student protests, and he playfully critiqued both the hawkish, hyper-masculine rhetoric of the military to the consumerism the United States partakes in it. This statue, full of death, power, desire, and sensuality, never intended to be a sculpture that was permanent, but the original remained in the Beinecke Plaza for 10 months before Oldenburg removed it in order to remake the form in metal. The resulting sculpture was placed in a less prominent spot on Yale's campus, where it stays to this day. But in the beginning, it was uninvited and appeared on the spot at the Yale University amongst the 1969 protests that students held against the Vietnam War. Although some may think that the patron was Yale University, they may be wrong. Claes Oldenburg put this here without being invited to. He made it to deeply criticize how the United States beautified war in a way to give students a place to speak their minds about not only this topic, but many others, which connects to the content, hence the lipstick beautifying the military vehicle representing the Vietnam War. This public site in the Beinecke Plaza in New Haven in 1969 was placed here to glorify the commonplace, bringing the view face to face with everyday reality. This reality, you may ask, not only was it the Vietnam War, but the reality was seen through the usage of everyday materials that we use, items of mass popular culture. In the original sculpture, they made the base of plywood, and the red vinyl tip of the lipstick could be comically inflated and deflated, although the balloon mechanism never really worked. 10 months later, it was replaced with a metal sculpture instead, so that it could be permanent. Before this, the 24-foot-high sculpture was placed in the plaza that overlooked not only Yale President's office, but also a prominent World War I memorial. This relates to the vast size because it wanted to overlook the site. The style of this was a reaction against abstract expressionism, and according to the specific period, it was a reaction as well to the Vietnam War. The attributes of this would include the Vietnam War and the specific style. It was an idealistic piece relating to gender, death, power, desire, and sensual themes. All in all, this refurbished steel, aluminum, and fiberglass sculpture is not only a vital piece of art, but also in history. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.